unmute all button. There we go. All right, looks like we got, boom. I will try and keep an eye as some other folks join us as well.
Cool.
Yeah, a couple other folks coming in. I can officially say good afternoon because even if you're on the West Coast, it's now lunchtime.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's why we set this up for that time. Catch. Didn't have to
Works
say
for
good
me.
morning. Yeah. Awesome. Afternoon to everybody out there. If you be inclined, you flip some of your cameras on would be awesome. If you want to hide in the background, that's fine too. We'll get through. We've got a awesome hour planned here for everybody. I'm excited, Alicia.
Me too. Me too.
Got a couple more folks hopping in, and we will get started here. Give a few other folks a chance to jump on, and we'll get started on time. It's all right, Christopher. We'll let you off the hook there, my friend. No camera on desktop. That's my excuse too. Yeah. So Alicia, when you want to get rolling, we can, and that way anybody can kind of catch up. We got some of this recording. I know you're streaming on YouTube now as well, so we are good to go there, and we can get rolling whenever you decide.
Yeah, I think maybe another 60 seconds. That should do it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Deal.
Hi, everybody. Good to see
Albert.
you. Thanks for taking
Albert's at
time
the
out of your
airport.
day.
It's a dangerous spot to be, Albert. I hope you're not running into any delays. Past couple experiences for me at the airport were no good.
All right, let's rock and roll.
Yeah, let's do it there. Hey, well, you know what? I'll kick us off, Alicia. I know, we'll go back and forth here quite a bit, but I'll just quickly introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, that's okay. I just had the honor and privilege of working with Alicia for probably I don't even know, it seems like probably close to a year now. And we had the good fortune of connecting a while back and coming on with this idea about being able to help people within the mortgage industry. As most of you know, she's probably the best of the best in your industry. She's written the best-selling books, had 20 plus years experience in up markets, down markets along the way. And so it's part of what we're going to talk about today is some ways for you to kind of glom onto some of what she's done to be extremely successful and duplicate some of that in your own business. She'll talk about some of the market conditions there and that sort of thing. For myself, I've just had a long career background as a sales and marketing coach. And so obviously a lot of with Alicia works to help you all succeed in your business. There's some good synergies there between us. And when we started working together, one of the things that I did was I learned a lot about your industry. And what I found there is quite similar to the other industries where I've worked and consulted in the past and help people find success. There's always some general problems that we face when it comes to the world of customer acquisition. So Alicia, I'll turn it over to you. I hope I've given you a good enough introduction as the queen of all mortgages. And you can kind of introduce yourself back into your crowd, and I'll set up a couple of the initial slides that we want to pass through, and then we'll kind of get into the meat from there.
Yeah, thanks, Rocco. So hey, everybody. So yep, rolling up onto the beginning of the third decade. So coming on the 20-year mark in the mortgage industry. So super excited to be here. It's a great time to learn what we're going to talk about today, because as you know, it's tough out there. Right now, it looks like 33% of the realtors are going to exit the industry, and 33% of the mortgage loan originators are going to exit the industry this year. They just can't keep up. And they can't get their offers accepted, and they're just having a hard time, which I get. I can totally sympathize with that. And we all know that the best thing to combat that is more leads with deals that actually close. And that's why we're going to talk about the psychology behind the sales just a little bit before we get into how the actual app does work, because we're going to go through the step by step.
Yeah, so I'll just kick it off. I'm going to spend like 5 minutes just kind of introducing you to things that you probably already know. So you're not going to see too much that's really new here. Sometimes it's just reminders. And I think that we could all agree that referral marketing is really the best way to build a profitable business for yourself in the mortgage industry. Being able to count on people that know, like, and trust you is always going to work for you. And I did some research, and I was kind of thinking about the industry in general. And this happens just about in every sales world that I've come across, is that in these days, the cost to generate a lead, what we would call a cold market lead, where you're going to buy a lead from somewhere, those costs, they keep on rising. And at the same time, closing rates for those leads, they actually keep on going down. So I'm just letting another person in here. And the reason why that is happening is because there's more information available to potential buyers than ever before. So what's actually happened is they are entering the buying cycle way down your funnel of where you potentially qualifying that. And at that point, they're armed with more information than ever. And so if you haven't taken the time necessarily to build a relationship with those folks, you're really just looked at as a commodity for them, where they're just going to pick you apart and look for some information to help meet their needs. And if they can't find it with you quickly, they're going to move on to the other 4 or 5 people that they've already checked their websites on as well. So what's happened, because the digital world has exploded so much, is that we've kind of gotten away from what has always worked best. And that is going out and being able to generate our own leads and prospects. I mean, the truth of the matter is that we're just not doing enough of it. And basically, once we do go through the process of finding some of those leads for ourselves, our follow-up habits just aren't where they want to be at. And as we start to get into the app here in a little bit, you'll see how we've kind of given you a way to press the easy button on some of that. Doesn't mean we're going to take away all the headaches in the process that you have to go through to get there, but you definitely will be able to get to a spot where you have an endless pipeline of prospects and referrals if you follow some of these steps that we've put together here. Now, here's the thing. Here's what you're up against. Before the day ends today, each and every one of us are going to see about 5,000 marketing messages that are put in front of our eyeballs. And essentially what that means is that those marketing messages are competing for just a few seconds of attention of a human being. So that means that, like, while you are out there actively waiting to close a deal or prospect your next your referral partner or client, somebody else is trying to steal those eyeballs away just for a few seconds. In your industry alone this year, it's going to spend about $20 billion competing for your potential client's attention to do business with them instead of you. The average cost on some research that I've done, if you were to buy a cold lead, if you just said, I give up, can't generate any prospects on my own, please somebody go and do it for me. If you got a bad lead, you'll probably still pay $100 for it. And, that doesn't really get you where you want to be at long-term, because it gets you on the rat reel. But let me just say one more thing here, is that I don't believe that anybody in the industry, I've learned a lot about all the qualifications that it takes to become a loan officer, the continuing education. There's a lot of knowledge that you all need to have to succeed in your industry, Alicia, and it's more information than I have the bandwidth to own myself. But I also know this for sure, right? Is that at the very end of it all, none of you have a sales problem. You don't have a presenting problem. You don't have, your ability to communicate that information to somebody, it's almost implied when you go for some of that testing. I don't think that that's where the problem lies at. Where the problem lies is actually in the world of prospecting. And what I mean by that is prospecting and sales are two very different things. Now, just stick with me here for a second. Sales is getting somebody to commit to giving you some resources, money, right? Whatever the case, to move forward and close. Prospecting is getting somebody to give you a commitment of their time. And those are two very different things. When you are going about in your world of prospecting, understand that there's really 3 different levels of motivation that you should have. The first one is this. If you don't know a person yet and you want to do business,
take a picture with this.
Start.
Somebody's having an order party.
Yeah. All right, Alicia, you can unmute yourself. I just muted you by accident because I had to do the whole list. My bad on that. I should have did that at the beginning. I've done enough of these calls now to do that. So sorry for distracting
No
you.
worries. Made me
Um,
thirsty. I want a big gulp next.
so let me get back to these three motives that we all have as persuaders in sales. The first one is to be building a relationship with somebody, right? Building a relationship, getting them to know who we are. We have to start there. The second piece of motivation that we have, once they know who we are, our goal from there is to simply to reduce uncertainty in that person so they trust in being able to do business with us. And then once we've done those two things, our very last level of motivation as a persuader is to move somebody to a call to action. Now, that call to action could be for them to sit down with you for coffee. It could be for them to hand you a loan application or to pull a credit file or all those other things. But my point in telling you that is that very often when it comes to our sales world, we have a tendency to skip the very first part of building a relationship with somebody, meaning that when we identify a prospect, sometimes we'll cut to maybe, hey, well, here's why you should do business with me. I'll try and reduce uncertainty with you. Or sometimes people even jump right to a call to action, like, hey, meet with me. Alicia, how well does it work out for being able to get a deal when you haven't taken the time to build a relationship with somebody?
Well, that's one of the major complaints and questions I get from loan officers is, how do I get the realtors to stop ghosting me? They either didn't answer my phone call to begin with. My question is always like, did you add any value? But the second piece of that is too, if you finally hound them enough to where they meet with you, there's a whole different way you got to approach that meeting. It's these days to actually leave with business. And a lot of times, if you haven't provided value then and built the steps ahead, these are the steps ahead we're talking about. This is not a CRM. To be clear, this is an overlay above the CRM. But if you haven't done those steps, you'll go to that coffee and then the realtor says, yeah, I'll send you my next deal. And then you never get it. I get complaints about this all the time. And it's because you haven't taken the steps that Rocco is going to talk about and we're going to talk about today, that actually build the micro commitments so that you can build a relationship that has value.
Yeah, and this is not just your industry, by the way, but I would be willing to bet that if you documented some of this stuff and tracked your business well enough, these numbers would hold pretty darn close to true for your industry and you in particular. Your referrals are always going to convert at a much higher rate, and you're going to have a much higher lifetime value of repeat business and other referrals that come out of that stuff. So this stuff that we're talking about here is really important. But some of the challenges that happen for most people is that we don't know how sometimes to build value, right? Like what Alicia was just talking about is so important because you can get somebody to hear you out for a moment, but they are going to just be able to base their future reaction to anything that you share with them based as this person giving me value, or they drawing me closer to something. And if you do take any notes on this call, write this one down. People don't give a damn about what your solution is until they know that they have a problem first, right? And
yes, and the reason Rocco points that out is to how many realtors that already think they have a loan officer, right? That's why they won't talk to you. So Rocco, get into the next step, but when we go through the actual steps of using the app, but that's a major problem. Like they think they're happy with their lender.
Yep, they don't know what they don't know. And so, look, it wasn't that competitive years ago because, again, there was no internet if you're as old as me, right? Like I remember prospecting where there was no such thing as an internet or social media, right? That stuff came on and it kind of changed. So what used to work for us by being able to capture people, their attention and listen to our message, it's just not the way. So what got us here isn't necessarily going to get us there. I always love showing this slide in any talk that I do because this is my favorite picture.
Einstein's amazing.
All right. Look, primarily, we're going to drill down and focus on how you're going to get help with your relationships through realtors today. But regardless of that, I want you to know this. I'm mind reading all of you. You all have about this many contacts that you're connected with in some way, shape, or form. We all have this, right? This is the average. And the question that I have for you, if you ask yourself honestly, do you have how often do you get your story told about your industry and business, what you do as a loan officer, to all these connection and contacts that you have? And I don't care if they just became a random LinkedIn connection yesterday, or if it's your cousin who's your best friend that's saved as one of your favorite contacts on your device. Like, how are you getting your story told to them better and more often so they know how to refer you, so they know that you are there. Like when their buying window is open, that they're coming to you. And I asked that question why on there, because sometimes I'll show a slide like this to a sales manager and I'll say to them, hey, so that's great. You guys are spending some marketing money on leads that are coming in, but tell me this, what about their outbound activities? What are they doing to find their own leads right now? Or do they do anything? And the normal response, Alicia, that I've heard over and over again is that, well, they're just lazy. So they don't do that. They wait for what we give them. And the truth of the matter is that they're not lazy. And if you're not doing this, I'm not saying that you're lazy. What I'm saying is that the time that it takes to build an outbound prospecting system, when you have to get a loan closed that week to help pay bills or whatever else it is that you have, because you have pressure from a client, it can take an extraordinary amount of time to get it right and go through the process and build a prospecting sequence and all these things here that we're going to show you here when we start to get into the app here in another minute or two. But my point in some of this is that the reality is that that sales manager could have made their life easier by giving them a better way to tell their story more often to the right audience. And if you have a strategy in place for now, put it in the chat box and say, yes, I do. I am in constant contact with these people on a regular basis. The content is great. They know who I am. They know where to find me. And I'm on top of all those people. And I'd be surprised on how many people would fill up the chat box right now if you know that's the case. And the follow-up question is, how full would your pipeline be right now if you did have something in place to do that, right, Alicia? And that's where we're at. Now, here's the thing is that when it comes to some of this stuff, like the reality is that we need to go and communicate where people are at. This is just some crazy mind-blowing stuff here. People are looking at their cell phone 80 times a day while they're on vacation. So all those prospects, like you need to go where they're best communicated at. It used to be in a world where it would be like, hey, come to us, come to our office, come to our website, fill out this form to call us or whatever the case may be. No, outbound prospecting is different. We got to go out there and engage with people. This is where they're spending their time. So just go and be where they're at. And we're going to show you how to do that, but don't look like this guy, right? And this is my last slide. And then we'll actually start to get into the app. And I want to get Alicia's thought process on this, but very often I would just picture this. Alicia, I decide I'm going to be a loan officer and I go through the testing, the training and all that stuff that gives me brain damage just thinking about it, even getting licensed and what I have to go through to get there. But now at least I know what I'm doing and I come out of the class and I'm ready to go. And now I'm starting ready to go and build my business for myself. And I've got to get out there and go to talk to people. I've got to get out there and communicate with people or I've got no business, right? So I go out into the field and I'm like, whoa, before I go and talk to this realtor who doesn't know who I am, I better set myself up online, right? I better get my constant contact account going. I better get my ClickFunnels page set up. And then I probably need SurveyMonkey and what winds up happening, we think that we have to get this digital footprint for ourselves to be to put ourselves out there, to give us credibility and brand recognition and confidence for when we go to talk to people. But the truth of the matter is, I didn't go to school to learn how to be a digital marketer. I went to school to learn how to be a loan officer, right? And this is what we call the execution gap, where people get stuck spending their time trying to figure out how to make all these tools that are built for a digital marketer to work versus actually spending time out there having conversations with people about what it is that we do. Well, what I'm here to talk to you about ultimately and where we're going to go next is just imagine if you didn't have to do all this stuff. But at the same time, there was a set of tools that were pre-baked and made for you by somebody who's, let's say, happened to have 30 years in the industry, knew the exact words to say in the right sequence to say them at the right time, and was there whispering in your ear on a daily basis to help you stay accountable to those goals that you set for yourself to get the income goals that you want. That closes the execution gap and allows you to press what we would call the easy button. So I am out on that slide, Alicia, but I want to turn it over to you while we get ready from there and just, your thoughts on what we're sharing here so far. Cause sometimes I miss things, guys. I miss important bullet points. And did we get anybody? Nobody responded in the chat box to us about how they were doing with their own outbound prospecting. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So I would just add to that too. I would, what's a DSP? You know what that is? We did get a response. Albert, what's a DSP? Can you unmute yourself? I'd be curious. Oh, daily success plan. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So if you're making those outbound calls every day, then the next step is how effective are they? Right. And we talk about, whether you're a rookie or even, originating for a while. Yeah, that's a good plan. Carl's great. So, I mean, I've been in the office when our rookies are just sitting around trying to figure out what they should say, right? And for some of you guys, that may apply, but for some of you who've been in the business longer, that may not apply. So the question would be, is what you're doing, how well is it working? And that's why we put together the exact sequence that we have that Rock was going to show you. That is, and we've done a bunch of training on the psychology behind the sales as well. So you can check those out on YouTube as well. But the reality is you have to have micro commitments and build the relationship step by step. If you go right to asking for the business or right to asking to meet with the realtor, most of the time they're going to shut you down cold. So
yeah, and let's talk about it's building value, right? I'm gonna bring this app up here that Alicia has put together here in a moment and walk you through some of this stuff. But you mentioned about the building value, right? I didn't know this, but we just did some digging, and there is actually data out there that suggests that 72% of loan applicants are disappointed with the relationship that they have with their lender after closing. They report that to JD Power and Associates is where we found that at. Now, when we talk about building value, remember when I said before, people don't care about what your solution is until they know they have a problem. The realtors who aren't giving you business right now, you're like, oh, they're already working with somebody right now. They don't know that the majority of their people leave the table feeling disappointed. They might disclose it to JD Power and Associates. They don't go back to that realtor and say, hey, the guy 7 out of 10 times, the person that if you're the realtor, the person that you're referring for the financing on it, 7 out of 10 times, they're disappointed with the service they got from the person who you as the realtor referred. Now, wouldn't a realtor want to know that information? That's where you start to add value. If you delivered that little value add message to a realtor there, it's like, whoa, I better check my relationships and make sure that's not happening, right? But here's the point. Once somebody starts to realize that they have a problem, do you know who they go looking for the solution to their problem to? The person that told them that they had the problem to begin with. So I'm going to show you this. I'm going to bring this app here on the screen, but I want you to keep that in mind when we talk about building a relationship with somebody. At the end of our training here, you're all going to have some good information on how this tool can work for you. And the good news is that you're all going to have the opportunity to try out and put to test exactly what we're talking about with you. And it's not, and it's give you a trial of this for a couple of weeks. And our promise is that if you execute on a few simple disciplines every single day, in 30, 60, 90 days from now, you're going to have a pipeline that's so full that you're going to be having trouble trying to keep up with it. Right. And I mean that sincerely, but you have to follow through with this on some of this. So I want you to think about this again, as if this was you and you are brand new. And I don't know how much experience everybody has. The last time we did a call like this, we caught a gal who was 19 years old and she just got past her, licensing, Alicia, right?
Yeah, she's doing great.
And here's the thing. She did not have to unlearn any bad habits. She found Alicia's stuff online. She says, wow, she's somebody I could probably learn from. And she came into the call like this, where we went through this with her and we learned that she was 19 years old. And I said, okay, what I want to do is I want to follow this young lady around for the next couple of weeks and see how she's having success as she follows these steps. And a week after I talked to her and she showed me her app and all the engagements that she had already had from contacts just by following the steps in here. She didn't have the experience of saying that probably won't work, right? Like sometimes it's just better to start from scratch. So suspend disbelief here for a couple of minutes. If you've been down the road and you've had some things where you've tried to do and you say, oh, that doesn't work. Okay. Now, I don't want you to worry about what the dashboard on this app looks like right now. We will get back to that. I want you to know this: when you download for the first time and you go in, there's some very simple onboarding instructions that are going to allow you to start to import some of your contacts, direct you around a little bit. But ultimately, what our goal is to do is to give you a nudge into starting to share some value add information to people you want to build relationships with. Down the bottom of this app, there's a more button. And when I hit that, it opens up all of the different features that you're going to be able to get access to that's going to help you build relationships, reduce uncertainty, and move people to a call to action. And they're done in such a way that you can't get it out of order unless you violate the steps that are given to you, right? So that's when we say press the easy button. You still have to do the work and send the information. You still have to communicate with these people, but you're getting the words and the content and the messaging from somebody like Alicia who's walked that path. I am going to start with sending resources. So in the upper right-hand corner, the icon that says resources is anything that you could be that could be shared with a contact in the app. And I'll get back to what the digital business card is there and some of these other things here, but just focus for a second. I want you to look down. And if you notice these different, we'll call them resource categories, those names should all look somewhat familiar to you. These are potentially categories of contacts who you right now should probably be doing business with or trying to do business with, right, Alicia? All right,
sure.
So I don't want to hog all this, huh?
Yeah, no, definitely.
All right.
And remember, the nice thing about this is it's before they're in your system. So whether you're at a networking event, you meet a realtor or a potential client, and that client's like, oh, I'm not ready for 6 months. How many of you like just don't even forget to put them in your contacts, or, you know, if you don't put them in your calendar, when are you going to follow up with them? And the key is you put them in here right now, or when you get in the car, you leave that appointment, leave that networking meeting, and start working this system, and just hitting the easy buttons, and it just goes.
Yeah. And so here's the deal. Let's walk through this. I am the brand new mortgage person. I go to the local chamber of commerce event in town because I know I need to get out there and meet some people, right? That's the only thing I know. I don't necessarily know who I'm going to meet there and what I'm going to say, but I know I've been told I got to get there and make some connections with people, or otherwise I'm going to starve, right? So another one that you might want to put in your notes there is this: the worst time to have to think of what to do and say is in the moment that you have to think and say it. Is they have to do and say it. You follow me on that, right? So what we are doing is preparing in advance. So I don't have to necessarily think. Now, imagine I bump into Alicia and I know I'm going there. I'm looking for potential contacts. She says, well, I'm a realtor here in town, and I've been in a realtor for 20 years. And she hands me a business card because she feels bad for me, because I told her I'm new in the business and I've only been around for a month or so. But instead of me handing her a paper card back, I would then instead say, oh, let me send you my digital business card. And all I would simply do is I'd open my app and I'd tap on that box where it says my card. And then I could look at her business card, and I could, down the bottom, I could either email her my digital business card, I could text her my digital business card, or I could share it to her on any social media channel that she wants. Maybe if I want to connect with her on LinkedIn or something like that. But what she would wind up getting is a way to save all my contact information. And I could put whatever social media buttons I want on here. This is just a demo version, but you could put all your information there. So she will not have to worry about typing all of your contact information into her phone, because that's the hardest thing to do, right? If somebody gives me a paper business card these days, I'm simply just going to put their name and email address, if I can even do that, and hopefully I don't spell it wrong, and then move on. So here, when I send this to her, it will say, hey, here's Rocco's digital business card. Do you want to save his contact information? All she has to do is say yes, and it syncs right up with the phone book in there, and she's got my information, right? And that is, gang, that is all I want to do to start building my relationship. I am not going to start adding value to her and just be like, oh, at the event, hey, Alicia, did you know that 7 out of 10 deals, they leave the customers leave there, they're not happy with their finance people? No, it's not probably the time for that yet. We're just there to engage some people, collect business cards, share our contact information back. But now I know that I've got a realtor prospect in my app that I've added and have saved their name. And we'll go back to the contacts there in a second. But now maybe a day or so later, I do want to follow up and I want to start to try and build value. So if you see this one category, we have Realtor Prospects. If I tap on that, open that plus button, I can see now a sequence of engagement that Alicia has taken the time to put together that gives you the opportunity to connect with somebody, to build value with them, engage with them, and ultimately get a call to action to schedule some information. So let's just take a look. If I open this up, all we've created here, Alicia, and you could talk about the value of this. It's a simple pre-written text message. So if Alicia is that realtor, what does this mean? Let me tap on this. A pre-written message, it asks for permission before sending a resource link. By getting a response, it'll make it look like I'm avoiding spam and my resource will certainly get delivered. This is called permission-based marketing, gang. It's asking somebody to send them something before just shoving a link in their face. So the pre-written message, we'll hit the preview button so you could see, it would say, hey, Alicia, you've got a great reputation in the industry, and I'd really like an opportunity to get to know you. I have some information that could protect you from having deals fall apart while in process, and why 72% of mortgage applicants are dissatisfied with their lenders. Can I send it over to you? Thanks. Alicia, if you were a realtor, would you want to know some of that information?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why would you want to know that?
Because I don't want my deals falling apart, because then I don't get paid. And that makes realtors crazy.
Okay. So again, how we deliver that message, we have this neat delivery system. If Alicia likes me to send emails, I will send it to her via email. She wants me to text it, I'll do that. And again, if I want to share it to her on Facebook Messenger or LinkedIn or wherever we want to do that, we do that as well. Now, the neat thing about it is,
I'm just going to jump in real quick, Rocco. The other thing that I love about this also is that it does go to social media. So say there are realtors that you have met but not followed up with, you can shoot them a text for sure, which is actually my preferred way. But if you haven't seen them lately, then you definitely can shoot them a message on LinkedIn or Facebook, and they will see that. So there are definitely a variety of options of how you can actually send the information to engage from basically cold or very, very lukewarm status.
Absolutely. And that's the whole purpose.
That's what it's designed for.
That's exactly what we're designed for. So if Alicia doesn't respond back to me, I have to be courageous enough to know that I've got to pick up the phone. Like, this is not going to automate. We've got some automations built in here. We'll look at that in a little bit, but the point is that you cannot automate a relationship. What everything in this app is to do is to augment your relationship and have you seem like you have more credibility. And you, again, without you having to think of all the words to use, we've given that, but you have to still have that behavior of wanting to send the information and follow up with somebody. Okay. I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. Now, if she just sends a message back and says, yeah, great, send it over. Well, then I just go to my value message that's already built in here, and already built for all of you is a custom blog article that explains those details on a page that would be designed for you. You don't have to do anything but send the message, and the pre-written message would say, Alicia, here's what I was going to send you. And she would then click on it and she'd see this article. And this article is going to tell her all those things that we just talked about. You see the JD Power and Associates in there. So you're not just making it up. It's real documented stuff. And basically, like I was saying before, it's an article, but down the bottom, again, they can book a call with you. They can request a call back. Maybe they'll hit some of those buttons. Maybe they won't, right? But all you're trying to do here is build some value with them. And you don't need to ask for anything yet, because really where you want to get to is that, wow, if I build value, now that starts to get me to a spot where they're reducing uncertainty a little bit. So you have to be intuitive enough to know when the right time is to take the next step with them. Okay. But the neat thing is that page and the other pages that are in here, they're all hand rolled for you. All you got to do is just put in your contact information when you download the app, and it'll already be formatted for you. It's pretty cool stuff. Our goal for reducing uncertainty is to get them to take a next step. So what will happen is if I sent that to Alicia and she's there, when she clicks on it, the app is going to send me a push notification. And it's going to say, hey, Rocco, Alicia just clicked on the link that you sent her. Might be a good idea to follow up with her. You don't have to, but it might be a good idea too, right? And so that would be good, because I know that she actually took the time and she didn't just ignore me or blow me off. My conversation with her is going to be different based on her level of engagement with the content that I sent her, right? My next step is I want to engage her a little bit further. Now, again, if I hadn't sent her my digital business card, there's another way for me to do that right from here. But assuming that we've gone through the process that I've described so far, my next thing that I want to do is I want to find out a little bit more of how she likes to best be communicated with, by way of like, hey, how do you work with your lenders now? So Alicia, I'm going to let you drive here on this, but I'm going to bring it up. There's a survey that's fun little survey that Alicia put together to send to your realtors that is really and then we'll pull it up here and look at some of the questions, but it's set up in a way that you're saying, hey, Alicia, look, show me how to communicate with you best. And are your current lenders that you're doing business, are they treating you well? So I would send this back over to Alicia. And again, when she clicks on it, the app would send me a push notification. But let's walk through some of these questions here real quick, Alicia. You do some explaining here to the team listening in, and
Sure,
we'll show
of
them.
course. Yeah, it just blows me away that even in a meeting with the new realtor, a lot of lenders don't ask these questions. And this is actually even before, out of respect, to find out what they're looking for and how they want to be communicated with. So as you guys know, the realtors are all different, right? Variety is the spice of life. So they may pick their loan officer based on, that you send them deals, that you just close their deals. But now we get to learn a little bit more about them. So do they like to be communicated email, phone calls, text? And then what's their level of follow-up? Because, some of those realtors want to know every little thing. Some only want to know the milestones. Some only want to, see you at closing, and they only want if there's like bad news or something like that. So we've put all those pieces in there, and they just tell us. And then before you even meet with them in person the first time, you would have this information. And it's really, as you see, it's click, click, click. It's like 4 or 5 questions. That's it. And they're done. And then you have this information, and knowledge is always power if you use it correctly.
So the neat thing is that if I sent this to Alicia and she was already a contact in the app, she wouldn't even have to fill out her name down the bottom. It would already pre-fill in for her, right? I just pulled it up, as a one-off here to show you all. But there's 2 things that are happening here, and this is a little bit more on the psychology side. So forgive me, because I go a little bit deep with this sometimes when I shouldn't. But the reality is that by taking the time to do this and send it over to Alicia and spacing some of these touch points out, what's winding up happening is I'm building value. She knows I'm trying to build value. She knows I'm trying to separate myself from other people. And she's saying to herself, the effort is there, right? Like this person is really doing the right thing. But by sending this, it's like, wow, like now I'm really understanding that this person is going out of their way to make sure, not that they just do a good job for me, but that they're delivering something outstanding. And this doesn't mean that they're going to start doing business with you yet, but it's really letting you step out and be different from all the other people out there. Alicia told a story on a recent call where her goal was to go into and hand out candy to realtors. And they didn't know she was a loan officer after a while. She thought she was just a candy hander outer, right?
Yeah. When I first got into business, that's what my boss told me. Just go and bring here's our logo with the candy jar, and go take that and then fill up the candy. It's like, that's not even adding value. Like, all the crazy stuff you do to get in front of a realtor.
That's right. Yeah. And
much more quality.
So this, the second part of that's happening here is that these questions, when we get into the contacts here and you see all the contacts once they're put in there, the answers to the survey populate right into the notes section. And this is intel for you. So it makes you look like you have more credibility. It makes you shine like a superstar, but it also gives you the intel that the candy could never do, right? And it allows you now to be able to know, like, your conversation when I call Alicia back, my conversation to her is going to be way different depending on how she answers these questions, right? And I don't have to, like you said, the respect of trying to get all that stuff answered up front. It's just a better way for you to do business, and they're going to like you more because of it. Okay. So then ultimately from there is, again, you could think about what would be the right amount of days to space this out. And if you stay plugged into Alicia's community, you'll get more coaching on how to do that. But, maybe this can happen over the course of a week or 2 after I've been to that event. And eventually where I want to get to is that call to action where I do want to try and book that meeting. Now, if you use a booking link like Calendly or something like that, you could put that right in on your app settings, and you could ping them over that link and they could choose a time that works best. Or you could just send them a simple text message over, and it would say, hey, I'd love to schedule some time. What's your availability? Hi, Alicia, I'd love to schedule some time. What's your availability? If you tried to send that message right the day after the networking event, that looks like one simple sentence, but the timing that you send it and when you do is going to make all the difference in the world. you cannot skip some of that other stuff. You have not earned the right to ask for that yet. But if you follow those other steps, this is the easy part. The call to action should always be the easiest thing if you've done all the other steps right. So look, will there be times, and this is where I was saying before, where you might be saying to me, okay, my problem is not me. I've got a whole bunch of realtors that I've built a relationship with, but they're not doing business with me. You can skip, good news for you, you can skip step one and go to value. Because I can promise you the reason why that they're not doing business with yet is because you haven't reduced uncertainty in them, right? So based on remember those three motives, I'll restate them for you. Either trying to build a relationship with somebody, reduce uncertainty in them for you to do business with you, or get them to a call to action. If you've gotten 2 out of those 3 done already, then you could just go right to schedule, right? And that's fine. The idea is the sequence has been given to you in each one of these different categories. And at the same time as the sequence being given to you, the messages are created for you. So you don't have to copy and paste or do any of that stuff. And then ultimately on the back end, we're going to track it all for you. Okay. So you know what's working and what's not working. The app is going to notify you. One last point before I move out of here, where it says company at the top, that's all the pre-built stuff for you. You do have some autonomy, right? Like I wouldn't recommend doing this too much, but if you tap on personal, you could add some of your own custom messages and resources here into the app and save them. And you could do some of it that way. But I'm telling you that for me, like success leaves clues, and I want to follow the expert, right? Like I want to follow Alicia. Was when we started building this, I got inside her head and said, Alicia, tell me, I want to know, what is it that you would do if it was you?
Ask me so many questions.
but that's it. Look, that's where we had to start at to get this right. And then now we have a 19-year-old gal who's been in the business for 2 or 3 weeks. The learning curve that you shortened for her, it probably take her 3 years to accomplish what she's going to accomplish in 90 to 120 days, because you can't spend all your time, Alicia, talking to everybody individually, but you can coach them through the app, which is where I'm going to go next. Okay. But realize this, here's some more sales truths for us. At some point or another in this process of reaching out to whatever those categories, and you're going through, like I might get to the spot where, Alicia fills out the survey that I sent to her, but she sends me a message back. She's like, hey, you're awesome. I'm just letting you know that I'm real busy right now. So I'm already dealing with 10 people. So, as prospectors, professional prospectors, we should always have a list of at least 100 people. Well, the buying window or the relationship, it's not always going to be open for everybody right when we want it to. That's why we got to have a bigger list. If you do it right, there'll always be 10 or 20% that you should be spending your time with, because the buying window is open. They're engaging with the dialogue that you're sending them, and you're all good, right? But for the rest of those people, if Alicia ices me for a little bit and says, hey, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying not now. Respect. I want to be able to make sure, okay, that's fine with me. I'd rather know that. That's great. So wherever I get stopped in that process, I'm going to respond back there and say, Alicia, that's awesome. No problem. Would it be okay if I kept in touch with you from time to time with some messages that I know be really valuable for you? And that way, when you are ready for me, you'll know where to find me at, right? That's more permission-based marketing. And if I tap the more button, okay, and you'll see right in the middle of the page, we have that envelope for campaigns. And I don't want you to say, wait, I've got a campaign already through my, my CRM or whatever that stuff is. This is just a way, 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 way different show here. The campaigns that we have put in place here are campaigns that go directly from you to a potential prospect, that they are Alicia's words. They're not the pre-baked stuff that comes from look, our company, we have a CMO, a chief marketing officer, right? Sounds like a big title, but he is not out in the trenches every day having the conversations, right? So the person who's out in the trenches here is Alicia, and she's the one that helped craft these words along with some of the copywriters that we brought in here to play. So when those messages get dripped out, that's more of an automated fashion. So when you're spending your time with the 10 or 20 prospects that are interested right now, the other 85% are getting followed up with on a regular basis. And when they click on some of the resources that get sent out to them in those email messages, you'll know that as well. So that's how those campaigns can work. But let's look back on these contacts here real quick and see what this looks like. again, if I just bumped into Alicia at the event, I would tap that little green circle down the bottom and I'd start building a contact profile for her. But I wouldn't enter in the whole business card in one spot. And I don't have to save the contact. Maybe I just put in her name, and then maybe I put in a note. So I'm just gonna put like a test person in here, right? Just so I can fill this out. That's all I need. But then from the notes, I don't even want to type anything. Like I just use the voice to text right here and say, met Alicia at the local Chamber of Commerce meeting. She is awesome, but so am I. All right. Now I save that in there. And again, it's silly, but all it does is it says, hey, do you want to put her in a campaign? No, I don't want to do that yet because I haven't really engaged. I'm not automating her yet. Do I want to schedule a reminder? No. But now she's saved in my contacts and that note was date stamped. Okay.
But you could, like, what if at the meeting she said, oh, you can call me next week? Well, then, yeah, you'd put a reminder.
Schedule a reminder. We're going to do that. So with our friend
for you.
Yeah. So let's look at our friend Amir here. I'm going to click on him. He's one of my contacts here in this demo app. Now, if I would have taken the time to fill out everything on the business card or took some stuff off her LinkedIn page, I could fill in so much more contact information. I could put where they, here, I'll just click on it to edit in for a second. You can see all the stuff. I could put in their address, industry that they're in, significant dates, all that stuff that you would do for a full-blown contact manager. What I'm telling you is it's really not all that important when you're in the relationship building. You add that stuff in as you go along. Now, if I want to call Amir, I simply would just press the phone button right there, and it just calls right out from my device. Same thing if I want to send a text message. Forget the event invite for a second. But if I tapped on send resources, that would actually put me into where we were at before. And that's how we're able to track some of that stuff. Okay. So let me do this real quick. I got a little bit of Melanie. I'm calling you out. I just muted you. All right.
And the other nice thing about this is it comes from your actual email that you put in. So your work address, email address, and then it really texts from your phone. So it's not some third party random. Yeah.
Like again,
your actual phone.
Relationship building. We do not want to perceive to spam people because if you spam me, I'm spamming you right back to my junk folder. Right. So there's a level of authenticity here. Now, the other thing is you could see where it has the labels there. And this is just where you can move people in and out, add them to multiple labels. There's some filtering options to send bulk messages later on. I don't know if we'll get to that today. It's really not your highest priority, but this will allow you to just be able to identify if I want to add a new label, maybe I just put Chamber of Commerce contacts. And those labels will all show up there. And this is also where I flip them in and out of different email campaigns that are set up in here. Okay. So if I go to the notes component on this dashboard, you could see in here, this is an example of somebody who took the survey.
This is a survey for a potential client, not for a realtor. So there are different questions, but you'll see they're not super complex. So it's not like you're getting a full loan app, but you have information so that you can look for what realtor you can refer them to, right? Because that's the golden goose, right? When you are meeting people and you have leads that you can actually give out to your realtor partners, how much, you tell me, are they so much more likely to give you a deal if you've given them one or two over the course of the year?
Yeah. And I'm going to go out of bounds from where I want to go here for a second, because I want to share with you guys this. We've seen these surveys are way more powerful than you might be thinking. And bear with me. We've actually seen somebody take a survey similar to like this for one of our partners in the insurance industry, Alicia. And they created a similar type survey where it's just a general question. Instead of sending it directly to somebody, we've seen them post it onto their news feed on Facebook and say, hey, simple survey for anybody to take here, just doing some market research for homeowners or potential homeowners. As you know, I'm a mortgage rep and I'm always trying to figure out what the market needs and where I could best serve. And they throw the survey link out there. We saw one time where that survey got filled out 100 times from one post. And what happened at the bottom, all those people filled in their names, and that creates new contacts in the app when they send it directly, right? Like that. So this is not necessarily, it's a lead generation strategy. I don't want to detour too much here because we're talking about one-to-one communication, but you can do that once in a while and you could probably spark some real good interest. Now, like Alicia said, maybe Alicia didn't say, call me back next week, but after I sent her one message, yeah, call me next week. That's fine. Right. So I tap on reminders here and I can just go in and I could select a date, maybe next Friday or next Wednesday, and I could choose my time. Let's call it, she said to do it at noon. Okay. And these are just simple one-click buttons. And because I'm not the brightest person in the world, I need to be reminded of my reminder, right? So I want to be notified 5 minutes before I'm supposed to call Alicia back. And if I hit that save button, here's what happens. 5 minutes before noon next Wednesday, the app sends me a push notification. It's like, Rocco, you're supposed to call Alicia back in 5 minutes. And when I click on that push notification, it brings me right back inside the contact of where I left off. I don't have to log in anywhere else. I don't have to go into my, my device outside. It just brings me right to where I want to be at, where all the information is from where we last left off, right? And the very last thing that I'll show you here is next to reminders. Before I go to call Alicia back, I want to check the notes, right? We already did that, but I also want to check the activity log, meaning that I've been sending Alicia some stuff, right? I've been sending her some content from all those resources. I want to see what the paper trail is, like her footprint in engaging with me. And this shows powerful. It shows that she clicked on the survey, when it got sent, right? And we're tracking all this. There's a video there that we sent her. We even track how much of the video that somebody watches. See where it says engage 31%, right? So I know she watched 31% of the video that I sent her. How is that going to change my conversation with her, right? And the neat thing is, as she engages more, we're accruing a score. Well, in this case, it's Amir, right? Amir has a score of 82 because of how much he's engaged with this. Once the score goes over 50, a little red flame jumps up on the in the corner there, and he becomes a hot prospect. Very cool, right? But beyond that, if Amir stops engaging over time, that score is going to go back down, right? You also have the ability using this app to override it using the 5-star mechanism. I mean, I can drop his score from 82. I can just click on and bring him down to 3 stars, and that drops him to 70. Because sometimes, Alicia, people can click and watch everything that you send them, but you just know intuitively that they are kicking tires, right? So yeah. There's some autonomy for you. And gang, that's how we manage contacts outside of the CRM, meaning that I know those 2,000 plus contacts that we showed on that slide before. I'd be willing to bet that you have a very small majority of them that are in the CRM now because they haven't reached a certain level of qualification for you yet. And on top of that level is probably chaos, right? Like it's messy. I'm going to prospect this way today, that way tomorrow. This is very systemic for you and will allow you to get more prospecting done, right? Not by adding more time to your day, but in the same amount of time it's taking you to prospect 20 realtors in a month, you probably can get done double that by using what's already built here for you. So I mentioned some things about bulk messaging. When they're opted into campaigns, you could filter these people by different labels or statuses and bulk message them. Maybe you're doing a first-time home buyer seminar or you're doing an open house. You can set up events in the app and some of that stuff. We won't have time to get to that today, but I want to go back to this home screen. And this is my plea and my pledge of why I believe that this will be the game changer for your business, especially in the down, should I call it a down market, Alicia? You say that the down market in your business is actually the best time. You've told me that multiple occasions.
Yeah, it's not a down market. It's just a challenging market. Rates on the rise and so are sales prices, but it's not the first time that I've been through this. So, but it is challenging. It's challenging. So any resource you can have that's going to make it easier for you to connect and engage with prospects and clients. That's what this is all about.
So here's the good news. Alicia is going to be your whisper. She's going to be whispering in your ear when you have this app because she has the ability to send push notifications to all the app users. So she's going to communicate with you. She's going to be looking at the activity that's happening, monitoring everybody. And she's saying, here's where some of our problems. In addition to that, if I open this up and I hit the little coaching icon there, when you're doing this, you'll see this. She is adding courses, some of her very best trainings, prospecting fundamentals. There's a couple of videos that we did in there. Simple solutions to growth blockers. And she has all these videos and courses in here and modules for you to watch. So the very same place where you're doing your primary business function of prospecting and following up in, you're also going to be getting coached to by the best in the business, right? And so that is worth it for you for sure. But I'm going to tell you this dashboard, when I said before, you don't know what it means because you haven't seen it yet. Well, here's why I'm going to bring this home for you. Gang, I have coached and trained thousands and thousands of salespeople in my time. And inevitably, even people that were on my own personal team in some of my earliest years, Alicia, I'd get heartbroken when somebody would come to me and say, you know what? Nobody's interested. It's not working, right? And my heart would break. And I'd have a quick conversation, and I'd always jump, what's happening? What's going wrong? And you know this as a coach and leader sometimes, right? You have those tough conversations. And gang, what I found every single time after we got, the life gets in the way for sure. Other times it's just the dog ate the homework, right? But when you get down to it, if you ask yourself this question honestly, I think you'll agree with me. It always comes down to one of two things. Either number one, we are not talking to enough people, or number two, we are talking to enough people, but we are not saying the right thing. Now, Alicia, being your coach, the good news is she can fix that, right? But to do it for the thousands of people that follow her around, that's not scalable entirely, right? So what I started to learn very, very early on in my career is that if I could get some real numbers in a box, then things can work for me. So I want you to just focus on this top tile dashboard there, which says 11 contacts exposed. What that means is that me as the app user have sent resources out to 11 different contacts. Engagement is when they actually engage with what I sent them. Therefore, I get the statistics of 100%. If I really wanted to drill down, I could click on the statistics and it'll show me what resources they're engaging in. But here's what's really important for you all to understand. It is now the 18th of the month. And it says for this month, I've only got one exposed and one engaged, right? Like I am not talking to enough.
Exactly where you are in your business.
I know exactly where I'm at, and that's bad, right? If Alicia, if you called me up and said, hey, it's not working, I'd still take the call with you because you're awesome. But I would say, Alicia, do me a favor. Let's jump on the call. Take a screenshot of the dashboard of your app and send it to me first, because I know right where I'm going in that conversation when we talk. Alicia, so is it working or are you not working, right? Because you only have one, and it's great that you're 100% engaged. Now, on the flip side, if she's got 500 people in there and her engagement rate is 10%, then I know she is spamming people, right? But this is your truth serum staring you right in the face every day. Now, here's what I want you to know. I figured out in my business years ago that if I could get 50 exposures done in a month with a 75% engagement rate, that produced 4 sales like clockwork. Like I didn't have to think, and it would just stare at me. The lead measure was the exposures, the activity that I'm making. I didn't have to worry about the end of the month and pressure. I just know that if I did what I was supposed to do during the month, I was going to get my results. And every time that I used a scorecard like you have right here, and if I'm supposed to be at 50 by the end of the month, and I only got one in and it's the 18th, that's on me, right? But and here's the thing, down the bottom, the stuff that we know that works, that Alicia put her whole heart for the past year into developing this thing for you all, she's gamifying for you to do the right behaviors and activity, which is I'm gonna let you kind of talk about there. So she's saying, look, go in and get 40 done, right? And there's some basic contests, and this is just a demo version. There's more stuff that's happening. You came to this call because you're getting even additional more content from there, Alicia. And I'm going to let you kind of take the floor here for some of that. But while you're going through some of that, I'll show them how they can access this app and take a trial version of it for a couple of weeks, Alicia. My point is that you will learn how to use these other. We covered the fundamentals of it today, and our promise is still the same, that if you get involved in this tool, what it's going to do for your business in 60 to 90 days from now, you will have a predictable full pipeline, and you'll keep doing the same activity over and over again with fanatical consistency to get the results that you want. So Alicia, while you talk the group here through some of that, I'm going to get the web page where, and we'll drop that link in the chat for everybody. We'll talk about how to take advantage of the trial.
Yep. So we'll go through everything we're gonna put together that we have put together that you get in the app. So there are 4 realtor outreach roadmaps. So each of these roadmaps have scripts, the templates, the pre-built landing page contact forms, the surveys that Rocco shared, and step-by-step, easy to follow flow to help you grow those partnerships. So 4 realtor outreach roadmaps, whether it's for a deal in process, a brand new realtor, the buyer's agent, or a listing agent. Then we also have for buyer's agents for existing deals in process. You might have a CRM for that, but if you don't, again, the initial outreach are all for cold calls, so not CRM. But if you do have a deal in process, there's ones to pick from with buyer's agents for new realtors that you want to establish relationships with. And then also we have ones for listing agents who have properties on the market. So sometimes we see, very rarely in this market, where the property is actually sitting there. But if there is, there's usually an issue, and we have scripts that can help you get to that listing agent and actually become the preferred lender for that agent. We also have a complete listing at agent roadmap for your deals in process. And then we also have the phone scripts. There are phone scripts that you can use for buyers agents and listing agents in the resources in the coaching form, coaching tab in the app. So once you guys are in there, if you don't know, and like I said, I've heard it more than one time in my office where the rookies are sitting around and they just don't know what to say. And even if you're not a rookie, right? If you're stuck for your words, and just like Rocco said, when's the worst time to think of what you want to say when you actually want to say it? But we have intake scripts for you for buyers agents and listing agents. Then again, there's a whole coaching section, as Rocco talked about. So we'll have prospecting fundamentals in there. We have a March Madness boot camp that we did. The simple solutions to the most common loan officer growth blockers, and then new mortgage marketing mindset trainings. We release those every Monday for you. And for everybody that signs up today, we have a bonus. It's an 8-week course. And because we did mention it's a little bit of a challenging market right now. So this 8-week course that's going to release on Monday, Crushing Limiting Beliefs for Loan Officers, How to Triumph Over Your Inner Obstacles. And you guys know it's tough out there right now, right? And we had new roadmaps and new courses on a weekly and quarterly basis. So there's so much added value in the app right now. It's absolutely worth the time to give it a test drive. And Rocco said, you can test drive it for 2 weeks, but I'm going to give you 30 days to test drive it, because I just want to make sure you actually have the chance to implement it, because it takes 21 days to make a new habit. And this is where often, we back off, right? You might do something today, tomorrow, and the next day, but then after that, you forget, right? It's Saturday, Sunday, and you can definitely use this app on Saturday and Sunday. But many of us don't, and if it's not even in your calendar, then the likelihood of you actually executing it is pretty slim. So that's why 30 days to test drive it for $1. 21 days makes a habit. And this is designed to help you succeed. So
yeah, I'm just so I put the sign up page in the chat box there for you all to take the trial. And after that, it goes to $99 a month. If it's not getting you clients, then you're not committed to any long-term agreement. This thing, it's going to work for you, and it's extremely underpriced for all the value that she's giving you. But here's what I want to share with you guys, and then we'll maybe take some questions if you all have some from there. Is that when you are in the process here of doing this, like, there's a lot of cool things in here, right? And sometimes it could be like, wow, I'm going to boil the ocean and take advantage of all this stuff, or I'm going to start trying to prospect to 100 people a day. I'm going to say with you, you have your whirlwind. You're not going to stop everything that's already a habit today, cold turkey, to do what we're asking. What I want to challenge, and what Alicia says, everybody can do 2 to 5 exposures a day, meaning that you can start bridging and building. This is what we did with the brand new girl. We said, look, can you reach out, collect, harvest some contacts, enter them into the app, and then send out 5 exposures a day. That's all and then when I say for week 1 here, That's what you should do. And you shouldn't worry about everything else that's in here yet, unless you have way more time on your hands. Cause it'll start to become too much and you'll be like, well, I'll never be able to do this. She is going to coach you every week on how to use this thing to a T to succeed in your business through videos, push notifications, some live stuff once in a while, once a month, boot camp. It's all going to be there. I am around all the time, of course, as well. I feel like that there's no parting ways at this point, but we all, we're there to help you all succeed. So that I just want to make sure I let people know that information. Start with just the basics here. Let's get some contacts come in. When you go into the app, it'll walk you through how to get started with some of that. Okay. Maybe we can do some questions here, Alicia, if anybody's hanging out.
Yeah, Melanie had a question. So about, is it also geared towards borrowers? Absolutely. That's where when Rocco was showing in the different roadmaps that you can actually pick if it's for a client, if it's for a realtor, is it a realtor I know? Is it a realtor deal in process? So
yeah, I can show that while I'm answering that. So
yep. And then for everybody who downloads it, you can use the code maximize and that'll get you the premium access. And then John had a question.
So here's client prospects, Melanie. It's the same, we don't get it out of order. Connect, value, engage, and schedule. It's just the category. So the content and messaging is slightly different. So if you are just going direct, then go ahead and make sure that you do that. And that's fine as well. Yep.
Yeah. Rocco, can you answer John's question if they can do a specific landing page to sign them up? I'm sure you can set that up.
Oh, yeah, we have, when you say a specific landing page, wait, let me make sure I understand the question. Teach class of realtors always at their office. I want to start doing them through invite through.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
So basically I teach all these different VA classes to realtors and I'm always going to their office. And as y'all probably know, about 70% of the office doesn't show up. So I really want to get and then actually it's working out great. I enjoy doing it. I'm getting good results out of it, but I would like to do more of it and reach out to more of them and actually either do some through Zoom, but more than that, just get them into my office, into my conference room and have them actually be the one that says, hey, I want to get certified to be a VA realtor.
All right. Nobody else, what I said to just do your 5 exposures a day. Don't pay attention to what I'm about to show John, but John, I'm about to do okay.
Okay.
See the icon down there that says events?
Yes.
Okay. So when I tap on that, there's some preloaded events in here that we did for this demo, but you can create your own events by hitting that little icon in the upper right-hand corner, the calendar looking thing. And you can create your events in here, right? And let's say if we have this, here's Alicia's event, right? Now, here's the details of the event in here. If I want to send, then you create yours, right? For your VA stuff. Now, if I want to send this, if you want to send this to invite people to it, you hit the little.
Wait a minute, I don't think I'm seeing what you're showing.
Oh, okay. That's my bad then. Hang on. That's why I said everybody not pay attention, but John, I knew I had to smart.
sorry to throw a wrench.
Okay. No, it's all good. I think I know why. I was only screen sharing my my screen one. Okay, now you see the app. It's probably a little busy.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I got you now.
All right. So when I hit the more button, do you see the events under campaigns?
Yes.
All right. So you can create your own event by hitting the little calendar box in the upper right-hand corner. Right. And whether it's an in-person or a Zoom, if it's Zoom, I've got a really cool option for you because we have an integration with Zoom. And I'll show you why that's a good thing for you. But for right now, like we just have this demo one here for this event. If I wanted to invite you, if you're one of my realtors and I want to invite you to my VA seminar, I just press this button the same way we were showing the other resources. And I send send a text message here. Okay. And every single day, my wife gets some version of me sending this out as a demo. So anyway, it's so here she now this is just one here. It says, oh, this is the demo person. So this would say John Cox is inviting you to his VA event to, whatever it is, if you're a realtor, right? Great. So then the realtor clicks on it and John, they get this professional looking RSVP with all your event details right on there. right?
Yeah, it would have your company logo, your contact info, not mortgage marketing app. It's all
Right.
you.
And when they click I'll be there or won't make it, then it has them actually sync it up in their own calendar, right? And then at the same time, it'll update in your notes. The app will send you a push notification. And then now, if it's a live event, there'd actually be a little map on there that's like a GPS finder that shows where it is for them. So all the information goes right into it. Through a Zoom integration that we have, we actually, at the end of it there, so you could go through and do your training, right? And the hard thing about doing a webinar like this on Zoom right now, I can put some stuff in the chat box and it's okay, but it'd be way better if we had, let me see if I have any of these. I can go back over to one of the pages here in the app, but Zoom, I'm gonna have to show this to you. Give me a second here. In some of these video pages that we have built for you, where do we have a video at?
Oh goodness, you could go to the get referrals or the deals in process would have that.
So by the way, this is awesome too, gang. Imagine you're at the closing table and you send this, the best compliment I could ever receive is a referral, and they start filling that in for you.
Because
All right.
how many times you sit at that closing table and you and the realtor are both on your phone while your client's signing? Just sit the realtor right there and then look at him from across the table.
Boom. I like that.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I
there's a
mean, it's
video
all
page.
designed to hit them while they're hot.
Is this inside of a video? Yeah. Okay. So you'll have, see how that's like picture the Zoom. This is a custom page. So it's not branded. It'll just be that. So if I show up to your event and I'd show up and there'd be a countdown clock, but it would be right on any of these, like it's your own page. Now Zoom sits behind it. So when the countdown clock goes live, your face is on the screen, just like mine is now, but it's framed inside of your own custom capture page with some call to action buttons down the bottom. So at the end of your seminar, you could say, guys, if you liked the information, what you saw here, click the thing to download the white paper or to book a call with me to special, whatever it is that you want to bridge out of that conference with them. And it all tracks right back to you, right? So there's definitely way more tools and features in there to be able to help get a better engagement rate at your events and be able to do something. Does that, I mean, again,
it does. Does that also, can you create that and integrate it like and I think this is how y'all found me, but through Facebook?
So when you're doing Zoom, like right now we're streaming. If you're
No,
asking,
I mean, I'm talking about doing like the landing page setup, that whole thing, and integrate
oh,
it
okay,
into
yeah,
there.
no, you could use these pre-rolled pages that are already made for you and just run your stuff right off of there. You can go out and make all the stuff you want, but what I'm saying to you is that the value of having it there with Alicia, like these pages, they're like landing lead capture pages, I think is what you're saying. And you want to maybe run ads on Facebook. Yeah, you can set all that stuff up and you're set. That, by the way, if the vast majority of people out there do your 5 exposures, he's asking some.
I'm sorry. Okay.
No, you're good. Keep asking. It's good because I mean, we really only try to scratch. We're with the time that we have, we want to be respectful of people's time. Like we're just scratching the surface of the power of this app. That's why we have daily boot camp training. So we'll do Rocco and I'll do a training together every month or once or twice a month. But there's daily training at 3 o'clock every day on the app, and there's a Q&A after. So same thing. Like if you have questions about it, I mean, we're scratching the surface of what the app can do.
Is the daily training live?
At 3 o'clock?
Yeah,
it is live. But the one thing I would tell you, it's not me and Alicia, right? So we have some infrastructure there to be able to support some of the daily. I would actually recommend when you go into the app, we do a once a month full boot camp. So if you go into the coaching section, there's the one this is the first one we recorded and put in there. So in the coaching section, if you go to the boot camp, you could see this one that was me and Alicia specifically, and it's probably an hour and a half long. I don't know how long that one is, but that's going to give you probably, fundamentally some of the best core stuff. And we're going to continue to do that on a regular basis each month.
But if you can't wait, then by all means, every day at 3 o'clock Eastern. So.
Well, and my question too, and I'm sorry, I had to jump off. I had a little call me. When you're sending emails, is that integrated into my Outlook out of my company?
Yeah, whatever
email address you're currently using. Yeah, we basically take your email address, mask it on our server. And so it always looks like it's coming from you, but it just gets delivered back and forth to you. Right.
Okay.
Which is a big deal. I mean, we get like a 99.9% delivery rate on our automated emails, which is pretty hard to do. It's because we're very clean. We make sure that people aren't junk and spam and anyway, it's a whole different conversation.
Now, question on compliance. Do I need to get this approved with my company, or should I just
I'm gonna let Alicia answer that. I mean,
ask for approval or ask for forgiveness?
I always ask for forgiveness.
So do I. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and the issue is also, well, the other thing I like about this is, and I've been with my, I'm loyal to my companies, right? I think I've been with 3 different companies in my 20 years. But I will say the thing I like about the app is all these contacts are in your phone in the app. So whether you keep premium or downgrade, there's a free version too. Whatever you decide to do, these are in your phone. They go with you where you go.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So if you were
So-
saying if at the end of the trial, if you're not starting to see that this thing can work for you, even if you say, I'm not going to use this, you can, the standard version, which we call premium, is the $99 a month. The standard version, there's no charge for it. You got to pay us the $1 because it's just how our payment process is set up to take the trial. But after the trial, if you go down to standard, you don't have to pay for it. They'll limit some of the tracking features and you won't have all the resource assets. But I can tell you this, if you don't have a methodology and a system there that you're already using, it's going to be way better than anything you try and cobble together on your own. Like our goal is deliver more in use value than you're ever going to pay in cash value, but we think that's our responsibility to show that value.
Yeah, Bill, I don't know if we do have anybody right now. I mean, this is brand new. Like
Okay.
Rocco and I have been working on this for, like you said, almost a year.
And look, the platform in of itself, we've done it. We're not, the platform itself isn't new, right? Like we've had massive success in other industries, but Alicia was the person who we wanted to partner with in the mortgage space. We looked at a lot of people and just felt like it was the best opportunity for us. So thank God she was interested in talking with us because,
yeah, well, my thing's the easy button. I was like, give me the easy button. And just so you guys know, like, we don't necessarily, unless people jump on this call, if they signed up with a personal email address, we don't have your info from the app. So we have no way of knowing like which company or whatever, because somebody asked if their particular company was signed up. We don't have it. And just so you guys know for your own well-being also, we don't have any access to your contacts. So it's not like somebody else can. So it's not that I don't want to, I don't know the answer. It's just that we're not getting your info in that manner. And then someone asked if they should sign up personal or email.
Yeah, I was actually responding. I'll just say it out loud.
Yeah.
Whatever email you would like them to be, that you'd like your prospects or contacts to receive from, that's the email you should use when you sign up. Okay.
And if you didn't, you already signed up and used personal, you can update it when you update your contact on the app. It's easy to change.
Your settings, like, remember when you go into the boot camp and see it, but add in your social media profiles in your settings, like add in all your ways that people can find you, because all those custom pages that are pre-built for you, they'll populate them all in, and you just never know. And the best way to have people find you. Now, look, if you have a LinkedIn profile and you only have 3 connections, probably don't put your LinkedIn profile on there just yet, or no picture or some of that stuff. But where you are showing up, put ways for people to find that for you on your settings. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I don't know about you all, but I'm starving.
Anybody got any more questions?
4:00. It's 4:15 in New Jersey, and it's going to be my day time soon. But I'm happy to answer any other questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I know you're hungry.
That's all right.
Okay.
He's not angry yet.
He's not hungry yet. Okay. So, is this basically like a CRM system?
So that understand, like, yeah, CRMs. I wish I could have everybody do a quick poll of show of hands. Tell me how much of you love using your CRM that you have.
I
now.
don't. That's why I'm asking, because
Yeah.
I'm signed up with Be in Touch, and I honestly am so confused about that process.
Yeah, that's
it's like a waste of money.
Yeah,
So-
no, Melanie, listen, and Lisa, you can jump in here too, but everything that was designed to be what we would call anti-CRM, meaning that most CRMs are overcomplicated. You can't find your way around. They're not designed by the person who's out in the field, right? Like most CRMs are designed for big, giant enterprise call center people that are calling B2B. Like this app is designed for relationship building components. So will you see some CRM-y type things in there to manage your contacts? Sure. But the component is designed for you to have a prospecting system and manage those contacts that you're looking to work with and engage with on an ongoing basis. It's way easier and simpler. And so I could get where you might draw that analogy, but it's just not what it is. Good question.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, and I just said no because so many people are like, oh, I have a CRM, I don't need this. And this actually goes over the CRM if you have one, or it could completely replace it. So that's why I was like, no, because people were like, oh, I don't need it. I was like, no, it does. And the other thing I mentioned earlier is that again, you keep all these contacts. So no matter where you go.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using a company CRM, if you unless you sneak an export out of there, if you do happen to go somewhere, this is yours and they stay with you forever. So anyway. Good.
All right, great. Thank you guys so much.
I appreciate you all hearing us out. Hopefully we add some value there to your day, and stay close to this. I know that if I was going to start in your industry tomorrow, I'd be following that young lady around everywhere she shows up.
You're nice to call me young. Thanks, Rocco. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time. Cheers.
Make it a great day,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Welcome, Chris.
No, welcome. Awesome. Yeah.